Bless you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
Hi, I'm Adam Heil in Bridgeport. I don't think we've met, but
I think I might have run into you one day at maybe the textbook adoption thing. Angie introduced us, but
okay.
I'm not seeing. Are you just on audio? I don't see your video, which is fine, but
yeah, I don't have my webcam.
Okay, no worries. Well, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Heil.
You too. I'm definitely interested in learning more.
Yay!
About the program. So
wonderful. Miss Stevens, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm actually here with the teacher that I want to kind of introduce this to, that she might be participating. So,
wonderful. Yay. What's your teacher's name?
Miss Sons.
Miss Sons. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm going to wait to get started just a few more minutes to see if others chime in here. I don't know who all to expect. When I sent the message over the weekend, I wasn't sure how many of you guys had heard from your superintendent, or did you guys know about the project before I sent the email, or was that new information?
I knew about it before, but I just kind of wanted to get a little bit more grasp on it so I can help my teachers understand depending on who else I invite. So I figured I would invite one with me, and that way she can help me recruit.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for carving out 30 minutes in your day. I promise not to take terribly long. While we're waiting on any others who may join, what did your superintendents convey about the project to you thus far?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So she just kind of forwarded me the email that was sent out. I looked at the attachments. Her email said something about, some days during the summer, but also some Saturdays. But looking at the flyer, it said something about virtual meetings. So I guess I just kind of wanted to get a little bit more detail.
Yeah, that's totally makes sense for sure.
Yeah, Mr. Peavy kind of relayed some of the same information to me. I wanted to know more about the commitment for the summer, and then especially during the school day. He wasn't quite sure what the Saturday commitments were going to be during the school year. And so just making sure that teachers who would sign up for this are fully aware of the commitment they're making. Correct.
Yes. That would be very important to make sure that the teachers had, I think, clear is kind, and so being as clear as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and just, because I really have no idea who all will join, but I'll answer your questions, and then if others come on board, we'll just catch them up to speed. But so to back up to what we know right at this point, so the summer commitment, I was reading more details into the there's a Q&A document, and essentially there will be a 5-day summer training. It's actually 4 total. It'll start on a Monday afternoon and will conclude on a Friday at noon. So it's like half a day on that Monday through half a day on a Friday. And it looks like the agency is providing 3 different windows. So I'll go ahead and give you those dates. So if you're wanting to talk to teachers, now, I will say this, just because there's some details we don't know yet. They provided that it could be the week of July 8th through the 12th, the 15th through the 19th, or July 22nd through the 26th. And what they've done historically is offered them those 3 different times so that teachers who might be on vacation that week, or you know what I'm saying, but there would be that commitment for those. It's saying 5 days, but it's technically, because it says there'll be roughly 5 summer training locations geographically distributed across Texas. So originally we thought that those 5 days would be in Austin, but I anticipate honestly them being at the service center here at ESC 11. Those 5 geographic areas won't be decided until the grants are awarded. Does that make sense? Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
so
So
I was
what's that?
thinking that these 5 days were just for Wise County with our what you call a consultant, not consultant, but
Your literacy coach, yes.
correct. But
So
it's an actual TEA training like the academy.
sort of, yes. Now, the instructional coach who will be hired to support will go and get pre-training. I imagine that she and the others in the state, because they'll be hiring up to 30 instructional coaches from the entire state, right? So they will probably they're going down in late May to get trained in their new job. But I imagine that they'll be part of that 5-day summer training. And I imagine they'll do it in geographic hubs, kind of geographic regions. So I anticipate Region 11 also getting one of these grants. So I think when it says that there will be roughly 5 summer training locations across the state, and that will take place for a week, and they're giving those 3 week, basically the second, third, and fourth week of July are the options they've posted here. But we won't know definitive details until the grants are awarded.
Yeah. And would you anticipate like our teachers going as a team to one of those weeks, or?
Yeah, I really think that's what I was going to say. It would behoove you the most. Like ideally our whole Wise County could go at the same week, but I know that people's summer travel things, we can't dictate that. And so as you're thinking about talking with your educators about particularly getting involved in it, it should just be one of those weeks. Ideally, you'd want to send your whole team, like campus-based. So whoever your teachers are, so in Bridgeport, for example, if it's all your primary teachers because they're on one campus, you might want them to try to do it the same week just for collective efficacy purposes. But if it doesn't work out, it's just a matter of them getting that week-long face-to-face that will be required for the teachers to attend those 4 days.
Okay. And is the cost of the travel
written? It's all reimbursed. So depending on, and that's outside of the grant. If we get the grant, the travel reimbursement is built in a different fund source. But yes, if there's overnight stays, if there's hotels, if there's cost of car rental, that's all included.
Okay.
So it would not come at a cost to your district or to the teacher. And so that's what I know about the summer training dates. Throughout the school year, so just to give you a clear picture, one of the things that they did in the webinar where they were kind of comparing it to the old state academies, and I don't know if either of you had experience with sending teachers to the original reading academies, but in the original reading academy, or at least the last iteration of it, there were 3 days in the summer that you attended those face-to-face, and it was roughly 24 hours, and then the teachers got their certificate and their $300 stipend, and they were done, and that was the end of it. This one, over the course of almost 15 months, because they'll start in the summer of this year, and there'll be some kind of wrap-up events next summer for the original cohort. The cohort will go through they're saying 15 months, but it's the 9 months of the school year, plus a little tagged onto this summer and a little on next summer. It's a total of 100 hours. And so that's the 5 days in the summer. And then throughout the school year, there will be 2 days in October, 2 days in January, and 2 days in March, where the cohort will come together. The entire Wise County cohort will come together, and that literacy coach will lead those professional development sessions, but they will be a little bit more differentiated versus like, I imagine the summer training is going to be the content that the state develops. That's for the good of all. And it's going to be the summer, I imagine, is going to be very heavy focused on the new standards. So in the details we've been given, it says the new ELA RTEKS will be the primary focus of this year's Reading Academy. And depending on the grade level, the statute does require that we address things like from the National Reading Panel, phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension. But I think the summer will be deepening their knowledge of the state standards. And then what I understand is those year-long, like the ones that happen in October, January, and March, will be a little bit more differentiated instead of standardized. Like the Wise County coach can look at the needs of the teachers. And, welcome. Kristen, are you there? Oh, sorry, someone joined. I was just trying to say hi. I don't know if she's got audio though. Anyways, so to answer that question, the summer will be heavily focused on that. The ones during the school year, I think the instructional coach will have some autonomy to help kind of develop it based on the needs of the teachers in the cohort.
So during the year, on those training days in October, January, and March, would those be during school day or Saturdays, or what would you?
Well, the grant is pretty explicit that if teachers are already being compensated, like if it's a school day and they're already being paid, it would be considered supplanting funds if like if you guys got substitutes for them and they were being paid, because there is a $1,500 stipend involved in the project. So every participating teacher that comes into the cohort will receive 3 different payments throughout the 15 months of $500 each. So there's kind of some milestones that they'll be going through, and I can't tell you those exact dates because they didn't outline that for us quite yet. But the payments will come in 3 installments. I know that. And because of that, it says in the details of the grant that it's recommended that you do those on Saturdays instead of, and there is no sub reimbursement available in the grant. I can tell you that that's very explicit. So if we were, as a county, to choose to put them on a school day, it gets a little bit muddied, if that makes sense. So ideally, they would be committed. They'd be committed to some Saturdays in the month of October, January, and March. But I think we could be flexible in that if the cohort said, hey, we'd rather do it 3 afternoons after school, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be Saturdays. I think we can be flexible in that. It's just pretty clear that they can't be compensated twice, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. I think we just need to understand that commitment before they sign up and are willing to follow through with it.
Hey, Kristen, how are you? Hey, Daniel.
Hey.
I can hear you. Are you in there now?
Yes, sorry.
No worries. Thank you for joining us. And then Daniel, are you there as well?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hey, how are you, Mr. Bourgeois?
I'm fine. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we were just catching up on some of the details of we have actually, why doesn't everyone just really quickly introduce yourselves and tell which campus you're at? Go for it.
Kristen Gage. I'm at Paradise Intermediate.
Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you, Kristen.
Daniel Bourgeois. I'm at Boyd Intermediate and Middle School.
I'm Adam Heil. I'm the assistant superintendent in Bridgeport ISD.
I'm Teresa Stevens. I'm the elementary principal in Slidell.
All right, thank you. Many of you guys may know each other. And I'm Tennille Shade. I will soon be an instructional coach in Decatur ISD, the literacy coach there. And then I'm currently an employee at EC11 for a few more days. And so I had a chance to meet with several of your superintendents last week to talk about this project. But really, you guys as the campus leaders will be the ones to help lead that charge. And so we wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to ask your questions and to get any more insight into the project and what when you're thinking about bringing teachers on board, what you might want to know more specific details or how you might go about selecting who those teachers would be. So can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to just really recap a couple of the things we talked about with Mr. Heil and Ms. Stevens. The summer training will be held in a geographic region. There will be 5 across the state. We feel confident one of them will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We won't know that until the grants are awarded. But the teachers that come on board, when you're selecting those teachers, they need to know that this is what they're signing up for. They're signing up for a 15-month commitment in this project. And across that 15 months, they'll receive 3 installments of a $1,500 total stipend. So they'll get $500 about every 3 to 4 months, something like that. We'll have that all spelled out explicitly once the grant's awarded. But there's a week-long training in the summer that will be taking place either July 8th through the 12th, July 15th through the 19th, or July 22nd through the 26th. I don't know which of those weeks. I'm imagining they're going to offer it all 3 of those weeks. And then your cohort, like if you're sending a team of teachers from your campus, it'd be best if they all came together during that week. So when you're talking with your teachers and they're looking at their summer calendars, those are the dates that you might want to float by them and be like, hey, if you already know you're going to Disney World July 8th, let's talk about that or whatever, right? And then after the summer training, which will be heavily focused on the new TEKS, there will be additional trainings in October, January, and March. And we were discussing that because the grant explicitly says that we can't pull them out of their classrooms for these days. There's no substitute reimbursement built into the grant. And additionally, it says that they're already being compensated from their ISD. This is in addition to. So those might either have to be after school or on Saturdays. And we figured once the instructional coach is put into place, we can, kind of poll the teachers. But it is a total of 100 PD hours, including the instructional coaching that they're going to receive. So as far as the face-to-face kind of, you have to sit in these sessions kind of thing, you're talking 5 days in the summer and 6 across the course of the school year. And then the teachers will also receive a minimum of 3 visits each semester. So that's 6 in the course of the school year from the instructional coach to come and walk them through coaching cycles in which whatever they're learning in those PD sessions are implemented and they're receiving feedback and things like that. So if I'm not sure if you knew that was the kind of big picture of it. Since I have a teacher with us, I think Ms. Stevens brought a teacher with us. Can you offer any questions or wonderings that you have that I might be able to answer?
Well, I was really focused on the Saturday thing. So whenever you said after school, that makes my heart a little happy.
Okay. Yes. And I think we can be flexible with that. We don't know a lot about what those days are other than the fact, and originally, if we can get by with it, I'd be fine even doing it during a school day. It's just the details of the grant and this Q&A, and we'll get more information. But I really think it just kind of probably has to be outside your contract time. But I think we could be flexible, and some of it may be done. The after school situation is that you guys would all be driving from various locations. And I think you're in Slidell, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how I think you guys are the most distant school from Decatur, meaning you have to drive the furthest. And how far is it from Slidell to Decatur? Because I actually don't know.
About 20 minutes. It's not that bad.
Okay. So in general, with the Wise County schools coming together, most of you are relatively close. You know what I mean? So maybe if the principals would be willing to do early release for an hour so they could get, you know what I mean? Those kinds of things I think we could be flexible with. What other questions do you have from a teacher standpoint?
I guess, I know we're going to have the instructional coaches come and visit us. I'm sure we'll get all this in the training, but just what all is involved and what all I'm expected to do as a teacher.
So I think a lot of it truly is just going to be, you're going to be learning all of these new things about the new TEKS. You're going to be learning a lot of research-based practices. One thing, if any of you have ever been through the original state academies, a lot of the feedback they were given by stakeholders at that time was it's very theory-based, almost like you went to a college course, but there wasn't a lot of practical application in the classroom. And so what we're finding is in the redesign, the agency has listened to that feedback. And so I imagine there's going to be within the training, we want you to try out this thing in your classroom with kids. And then we want to see how it worked and we want to get feedback. Does that make sense? And then the instructional coach would be there to support you and help you set goals to say, okay, I'm just going to use this as an example, but let's say that, what grade do you teach?
3rd grade.
third. So let's say that your third graders are having a particularly difficult time with a specific comprehension standard, inferencing, because we know all kids struggle with that, right? They might have you learn some specific strategies or skills that are research-based, and then you would spend maybe a few weeks working on that and touch base with your coach. There is an online component. I don't know what that looks like. There's not a lot of details regarding that, but it is an investment, and so I want to be clear on that. The other thing is it's about building teacher capacity for leadership. So if you are part of the cohort, there's an element of, okay, so you're getting firsthand access to this newly developed content. We want you to take it back to your schools. What you learn about those new TEKs, take it back and lead and kind of be a champion of that work, if that makes sense, kind of the lead learner who carries it forward. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So some teacher leadership is kind of built in, and it's for capacity building experiences. But you have a coach there with you that will be a guide by your side and kind of helping lead that charge. So we've also had, let's see, I think Miss Williams, thank you for joining us. I hope we're just kind of picking up, and this is truly just Q&A. So what other details do you need that maybe your superintendents didn't share with you, or what wonderings do you have? And that can come from anyone. Hello? Oh, is somebody talking and I can't hear you? I think Mr. Heil is muted and Daniel is muted.
I think as far as Slidell is concerned, I think you've done a good job asking or answering our questions that we have at this moment. I'm sure there will be more that come up as this process gets going, but
yes,
you kind of pretty much given an overall good picture of the big picture of what's going to be happening. So I think we are good.
Okay, wonderful. And Ms. Stevens, if you want to, so one of the things that I will let you know from an administrator lens is we do have to get campus-based commitment forms as well. So if your superintendent said, yes, sounds like something we'd like to be involved in, and keep in mind that at this point, putting your name in the hat is not a guarantee, because if we don't get the grant, we don't get the grant. Right. But I should also tell you that the ESC, the Service Center, will also be applying and seeking out districts to participate as well. Now, there will still only be the limit of 60 slots. And if we do it within Wise County, we get to control those 60 slots. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I think you had sent out where it was a percentage for each campus, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we didn't really, what we're thinking right now, it's based on if all seven ISDs hop on board, we would look at student population and base it on that. Anyways, thank you for your time today and letting me answer the questions. If you have more questions, you can email me, or even if you need me to come out and visit with your staff, I'm happy to drive to Slidell and just say, hey, here's the opportunity. The next steps will be to just, I'm going to put together a spreadsheet once I know who all's on board, and that shows the number of slots that you have available. And basically we just need teachers' names I have to submit them by March 1st. So I think I put the deadline February 22nd or something. So as you're talking with your staff, if you need me to zoom in and talk to y'all, I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. And you have to have that campus commitment by the 13th, correct?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So if your campus, and it should have downloaded, you should be able to just to download it as a PDF, sign it, attach it, and send it back to me.
Okay.
It should be that simple, but we'll see.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay,
do you mind
if you
still just hang out and listen to any other questions?
Oh yeah, you're welcome to do that. I'm thinking the others may be muted. I don't know if they're hearing me.
Okay.
Hey, Becky, or Miss Williams, can you hear me? Oh, Karen Decker. Miss Decker?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Who am I talking to right now? I'm so sorry.
Miss Williams.
Miss Williams. Okay, I was looking to see some of the microphones are muted, and I've seen them. Alvord planning to be a part of this wonderful process. We hope you are, Miss Williams. Please. Did you have any questions specific to the project or the grant that I could answer for you today?
No, we're really we're looking over the
proposal right now. But I
Mhm.
know that I've already visited with our superintendent, and then I have a reading specialist on board that is going to be helping with ours. So
Wonderful. And do you have any questions about teacher selections, or like, honestly, like each, depending on the number of exact slots, the slots that we currently shared were based on the projections of every single school coming on board. So if all 14 of the campuses do it, those would be kind of the numbers that you have in your district. But, and I'm trying to remember, if you're in Alvord, is that right?
I'm Alvord, and I think we had 4 or 5 slots.
Okay. And you guys are a single campus, like you're K-5, one school?
Yes.
Okay. And so some ISDs may want like an entire kindergarten team to come together, or some may say, no, I really want like a first grade, a second grade, a third grade, and kind of create a grade level rep for each of their grades. It's completely up to you. And those numbers may shift a little. So right now, if it says you have 4 slots or 5 slots, once we have definitive commitment forms, I can make those numbers could adjust depending on how many schools come on board.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. Because I think we were looking at possibly sending one from each kinder through 4th or first through 5th or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So once I know that, I'll let you guys know. It's just a matter of waiting to see which schools. So really, from a principal standpoint, if you want in for sure, shoot me that commitment form as soon as possible, and that'll help me get the numbers going. So that's true for all of our administrators on the call. Like once your campus principals say, yes, we want to do this, shoot me that campus form. And then the superintendents are also signing off on one as well to represent the district commitment.
And the administrator's one for the campus, it's attached to the email that you sent us?
Yes. And if you need it, if you need another attachment, or if I can send it again, I'm happy to do that. But it should have been linked. It'll say it's a hyperlink, and it may take you to like a Google Doc, and then you just download it on your desktop and makes it a PDF where you can sign it.
Okay. All right, I'll get that done today then.
All right. Well, I'm excited that you guys are on board in Alvord. That makes my heart happy.
Thank you. Glad to be a part of it.
We'll keep you posted on when we hear about the grant. We just need to see whose names and which forms to submit. So, and then your next step is just to look for that spreadsheet, start adding teachers' names too. And if you need me to either Zoom in or come in and talk to your staff, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Neil.
Thank you.
Okay, I came up with some more questions.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Heil.
Because we're dual language, is this an English only cohort, or would it be good to have like an English language arts and a Spanish language arts teacher?
So I know our coach may not necessarily be a bilingual coach. We would love to find one of those for sure. And that's a process that we'll look into. And that would be a high priority for us if possible. But I do know that when they're studying, like, for example, the summer training, if we have teachers that are needing to study the SLARs, that will be available for them. Now, specific strategies or, specific things to dual language, I can't say that the state will necessarily put that in there, but language development will be a huge part of it. And so I don't know that like the cohort will be all 60. Will we have like a separate dual language part? If we need to, we absolutely can, and we'll see what the state does not dictate any of that in there, other than the fact that there will be opportunities to study the Spanish language arts standards as well. That's all that we've been given so far. And the content that I know that the instructional coach will have some liberty to develop the content that happens in those January, the October, January, and March dates. And so if we need to do some specialized instruction for the dual language, I support that wholeheartedly.
Okay. And then in the selection, I'll probably have like our reading specialist would want to go, but this would be more powerful for classroom teachers. Is it only open to classroom teachers or specialists as well?
So that's a really great question, because that is a distinction between our old state academies and this new iteration. You may send instructional support staff. It does not have to be a teacher of record. If you have an instructional coach, or you have a reading specialist, they can be one of your slots. That's perfectly okay. And they actually encourage, in the old academies, since it was teachers only, they're really wanting more leadership and instructional leadership involvement this time.
Okay.
But as far as the impact, I mean, you're going to get a little bit more. The coach working with your coach could be powerful. I mean, your reading interventionist to kind of build coaching capacity could be a good thing. But as far as implementing it with live children, your reading specialist, I think their knowledge and expertise would be very beneficial. But you may want to balance your slots and say, do we want to take it up with a classroom teacher, or do we want to use a reading specialist?
Right.
But they are allowed to be a part of it, and they will get the stipend.
Okay.
The only one who doesn't get the stipend is principals. Sorry about that. It does explicitly state that.
I was going to ask if the principals are allowed to attend any or all of the training so that they're aware of what their teachers are receiving.
And this is really important, that what is it written into the grant and what is encouraged is that the instructional leader on the campus participate in an up to 50% of the trainings. So if possible, we would want you as the campus leader to attend some, like there are spaces for you and we want you there, but we also recognize your busy lives. But it is kind of an expectation that if this is going to carry your campus forward and it's going to have grand impact, that you carve out some time to be a part of some of those trainings when possible.
Okay. But the principal is not eligible for a stipend.
No, it does state that in the grant.
Okay.
Sorry, I wish I could control that. Any other questions? I see someone else has joined us, but I can't hear her. Hello there. Hi there. Can you hear me? Hello. Who am I talking to today?
Well, this is Karen Decker, and I've sent you several questions.
Oh, okay. Yay. Karen, you're in Chico. Is that right?
I am in Chico, and we're all in, and I've already filled out my paperwork, so I'll be faxing that to you in just a moment. I've called my superintendent and asked him to please do the same. What I'm wondering is, I would like to send a 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but I see I have spots. And so, should I open that to a 2nd? Or, as I thought I heard you saying, which is why I switched, because I wanted to make sure. I thought I heard you saying you think it should maybe be K for a 2nd, so I want to follow your lead, if that's what you
Well, honestly, it's really based on your campus needs. So one of the things that is a little unique, the old academies had a K, I think they went K3 and then 4-5, and there is still a distinction in early literacy versus, your intermediate. But really the main thing they're looking for is vertical alignment. So you know your teachers, you know your campus best. And if you feel like foundational skills are what you're wanting, you might consider sending K1 or 2. But ultimately they want vertical alignment. And so picking maybe your middle might be a good idea, like 2, 3, and 4. Or it's really kind of up to you. And then some of the schools have said, we want to bring a whole team. Like I want every single one of my 2nd grade teachers on it and just do 2nd grade, which is an option you have as well. It's really just what you need for your teachers in your school.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That helps me a lot.
And then did I answer? What other questions did you have there? I'm so sorry that we were having.
I think that was basically all my questions, and I shut my other screen down because I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sometimes these Zoom meetings are a little bit tricky.
I was in the wrong spot. So.
Well, Karen, I'm really excited that you guys are on board, and we're thrilled to just bring the whole county together. And I really think having that instructional coach will be a beautiful thing for your teachers in your school, and even for you just to be a sounding board in the world of literacy.
I'm very excited about it. So.
Wonderful. Okay. Are there any other questions from anyone else? And it's time for us to sign off of here.
Tennille, I got one for you.
Yes, sir.
Is there a grade level that you would not recommend going towards? Is there one that you would cap it off at?
Honestly, I think let me say this, Daniel. 4th and 5th are going to be pretty critical, and here's why I'm going to say that. They are our intermediate grades. 4th and 5th grade will now have phonics, TEKS to teach. And phonics have not been something like I'm even skilled in. It's stuff I have to go like watch YouTube videos to learn because my teaching experience was always in the upper grades, and those standards ended at 3rd in the old TEKS. So I really think getting 4th and 5th involved would really help deepen the content knowledge around those practices. But at the same time, K1 and 2 are going to gain a lot of depth of understanding around comprehension strategies and some of those other things. So, I mean, if I were in charge of the world and had open spots, I'd want one from every grade level. But go ahead, sorry.
That's what I would have said. Sorry.
Yeah. If I was in charge of the world, that's what I would try to do, Daniel, is try to gain. And so like you guys at the intermediate, in the districts that have an elementary and an intermediate, what we're going to do is just say, here's your district slots and y'all can duke it out. Because we didn't really know how to. Now, we'll tell you, we do have to have the K3 cohort has to encompass 60% of it. And then the 4-5 has to encompass 40%. So you get more slots in the K3 area than you do in the 4-5. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else that I can be of assistance? I know y'all got schools to run and children to take care of. So if you have more questions or there's something I didn't offer, I'll send a follow-up email with those summer suggested dates, and then I will just keep you guys posted. Basically, all I need from you is to get that campus commitment form in, and then you'll be on the lookout for, I'm going to make it a Google Sheet, and it'll have a tab for every school. And then within that school, you'll have a place to put your teachers' names and the grade level that they represent. And if the slot numbers change, I'll let you know. We're going to give it until this Wednesday, the 13th, is when we need either a commitment from the schools, like yes, we're in, or districts, yes, we're in, because we need to get the numbers decided. And if if some ISDs say we only want one of our campuses on board, or if there's an ISD that says we don't want to participate, that'll change the numbers. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you guys for your time today. If you have more questions, please email me, and I appreciate you joining the Zoom meeting.
Thanks, Tennille.
Thanks. It was great to meet some of you. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Bridget.
Bye.